You know what happens today at 4:30?
Love it.
Bishop's
Our
Corner.
favorite time of the day, our favorite time of the week, actually, the Bishop's Corner, each and every Thursday, 4:30. But Mr. Finn, you and the bishop in particular, picks a highlight question of the week, working with the team there.
And the
I
bishop
love that
took
he
a
does
question
this.
about what are consecrated virgins. What does that mean?
Nice.
So let's get to the highlight question of the week. Samantha
Sandusky in the house.
Dear Bishop Thomas, I'm curious to know more about an article I read on Catholic News Agency recently stating there are an increasing number of consecrated virgins. What does being a consecrated virgin mean, and how does it differ from being a nun or a sister?
Samantha, great question, and thank you for writing in. And the folks in our diocese may never even have heard that there are consecrated virgins who are very different and separate as a group in the church than, as you rightly say, from being a nun or a sister. So the first thing, Samantha, to tell you is that right now we have one consecrated virgin in our diocese, thanks be to God. So in fact, they are represented among us. And I take this as an excerpt from On Consecrated Virgins Living in the World by our own delegate for religious, Sister Anthony Mary Diago. So if you have any other questions, feel free to call that office, because she wrote this article that I'm taking an excerpt from. Here's what she wrote. Consecrated virgins are part of the ancient order of virgins, which began with the virgins of the first centuries of the Church's history. Like, for example, Saints Agnes and Agatha and Lucy, consecrated virgins give their lives completely to God, and they cling to Him alone with greater freedom of heart, mind, and body, and spirit. They make a promise of perpetual virginity, to be virgins for their entire lives, for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. So set apart for God, they're dedicated to living a life of penance and prayer for the salvation of souls and the sanctification of the church. Consecrated virginity is a vocation in that it is a visible sign to the world of the spotless bride of Christ, His church, and the reality of heaven. And just so you know, Samantha, these virgins usually live in the world, so to speak, so they're not in convents or cloistered monasteries, and they most often hold jobs as any other person would. They hold jobs and are employed usually in a secular society. Unlike religious sisters or contemplative nuns, consecrated virgins do not live according to the evangelical counsels, that is, the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. And they don't, as I say, live in a convent or a monastery in community. They don't take a new name, as nuns and sisters often do, and they don't wear a distinguishable habit, and there is no particular charism which they follow. They dedicate their lives to serving Christ and His church while living in the world as a witness to purity, either working for the church or, as I said, in a secular job. And St. John Paul II explains this vocation in his apostolic exhortation, Vita Consecrata, paragraph 7. I won't take the time to read it, but I would direct you there to go right to the sources, Amanda. Vita Consecrata, paragraph 7. Thank you for the question.